My name is Suzanne, and I have 5 children, 3 of which are deafblind. Elisha will be 18 in a few days, Jeremiah is 14, and Lizzie is 10. It was a process for our family. All the children passed their newborn screenings for vision and hearing. They have a disorder called a perioxysmal biogenesis disorder, very rare. Took us 8.5 years to get a diagnosis. We're just growing our family, having kids, and then, progressively things just started getting worse. First it started with nystagmus with the older child. That was our first sign that there was something going on with her vision. And she was about 8 months old at that time. And then maybe by the time she turned 2, then we realized it was also issues with her hearing. So it's just progressively just gotten worse because it is degenerative. So with that, we didn't kind of get it all at one time. It just kind of happened slowly for our family. The first and second probably were about similar, and then my third, I think because she was the one that got the diagnosis early on, so at that point we kind of had the whole picture of what this was going to be. And then at that point, you don't just have bits and pieces to the puzzle, you have the whole picture, and you understand at that point how you need to go forward. So I think once we got the diagnosis, my oldest daughter was 8.5, that's affected. Jeremiah was about 4, and then Lizzie was only a year old. So with that, then we kind of had a grasp of what was going on. I think because we didn't get all the news at once, it wasn't that overwhelming. It just kind of happened slowly and progressively. But I think for me, the hardest thing was finding out the vision impairment piece. Because this was all pre-diagnosis, of course. The vision piece for me seemed the hardest to kind of swallow and understand. I just didn't understand about my child going blind. The hearing piece didn't seem as hard because there's technology out there, cochlear implants and things like that. You felt like there's almost an answer or a solution, to that problem, or something that could help them. The vision piece was the hardest. So I think with that, I was in denial for a long, long time that this could happen to my child. And I think with that, it came a lot of maybe not giving them the best even early intervention that I could have, because I didn't believe that this is what was going on with my kids. I looked for support mostly through the internet. That was my like I said, was my guiding force. I just jumped in full head first and just started looking for support there. Once we got the diagnosis, then I was able to look for support groups specifically around the diagnosis. Even before that though, deaf-blind was kind of my main focus, so that's when I looked for agencies like Ohio Center for Deaf-Blind Education, and places like that who have already done work. I've looked at Heli Keller schools and different things like that. Just a lot of research that I did on my own to kind of get the support that I needed. Oh yeah, you definitely feel isolated. For me, more once we got the diagnosis, then because you have the whole picture, you realize that there's more. Because before the diagnosis, you didn't know that the kid's disease was degenerative, that it was going to progressively just get worse, worse, and worse. You thought, okay, well, here we are, this is where we'll stay, and we'll just cope with it, and we'll move forward. But that's not so in our case. So with that, then you kind of get very closed off, very protective. I think for the most part, our teams have been pretty consistent. We're fortunate to live in a school district where, even through levies not passing, I've still been able to keep a lot of key people in place. You always have changes when your kids get older and transition from school to school, or they've rezoned your district and now you're at a different school building. But for the most part, my core team members have been the same for about 9 years. Support staff kind of come and go at different times, but like vision instructors, hearing impaired instructors, those people are pretty key, orientation and mobility, and they kind of stick with us. So I've been very fortunate in that area. Well, with educational teams specifically, what I've learned is you have to go in with an open mind. And I tell every one of my team members, they have to come in with an open mind. I feel that everyone has their own agenda, the way they feel things should be done with our kids, but at the end of the day, they're my kids. They come home with me at the end of the day. You only have them a few hours, 5 days a week. So with that being said, when I come into a team meeting, I usually start by saying, this is Elisha's meeting. It's about Elisha. It's not about anybody else's goals and objectives. It's about her goals and objectives and what, as a family, we've decided for her. And I think when you go in there with that type of mindset, teams are more willing to say, okay, this is an interactive parent. This is a parent who's an advocate for her kids. And when you do that, then maybe some preconceived notions that they had coming into a meeting kind of go out the window, and then you're able to work cohesively together in the best interest of the child. So that's been very productive meetings for us to have teams that come in that mindset. One of the challenges is when you don't come in as a parent and kind of take control of the meeting and let them know what your goals and dreams are for your kid, you will have people driving the meeting that they have their ideas of how things should be done. For instance, I had an experience with a VI person who was very set in her ways with the way things should be done. She's always done it that way her whole career. She was a year from retirement, and her and I have very strong disagreements about how things should be done, to the point where I really felt that I didn't think I could work with her, and she was the only VI person in my district. And that's pretty hard to do that. But her and I, with the liaison, were able to sit down, have a conversation, and come to the best interests of my kids. And she actually, beyond retirement, came back and worked 3 more years part-time just to work with my children. As a VI person, she felt very she was very intrigued to work with a deaf-blind student because she had never done that. In my district, I think I brought the first deaf-blind kids into our district, and I brought 3. So with that, she only worked with just vision impaired, and she was kind of curious about how the deaf piece also worked in, and came back 3 more years and worked with them, and we became great co-workers together for the interests of my children. Yeah, I think parents who can't be as involved as maybe they would like to be, whether they're having to work outside the home or it just doesn't work out for them to volunteer at the school, I think that can be a challenge, especially when school says, I see one thing, but you don't see it at home. The two don't gel together. And I think at any assessment, there has to be that gelling where what you see at home is reflective of what's going on at school and vice versa. And I think parents that aren't there, and then they get this report that says that your kid can't do X, Y, or Z, but you see them do it at home. That's why you need to be there to teach your team that yes, my child can walk the stairs, or they can walk 100 feet, or whatever the example may be. And I think, once again, even if you can't be involved in the school building, you can email the teacher, you can set up an interim meeting or anything like that, and I think it makes the assessment process a lot easier. The IEP process for me is always easier if you get a draft prior to the IEP meeting, because there's only a certain amount of time that's allotted for an IEP meeting, and I think for me, if I get the draft prior to, at least 7 days prior to the meeting, it gives me time to read over it in my leisure, redline it up, make any changes, email the teacher, give her my ideas, my thoughts, and then when we come into the meeting, then we kind of have more of a basis to work off of. And then you don't have, if there's situations that are kind of sticky in the IEP, you don't have those high pressure moments in the IEP meeting. I think everybody should try to leave the IEP meeting in a very good, positive way. And with that being said, if you get that draft, it will make it so much easier. Before I got drafts, my IEP meetings could last 3 or 4 hours, because you're talking 25 pages of stuff. Now, since the drafts, less than an hour, I'm usually done, signed, out the door. And any of those tricky things you can work out before you get there, and that's always made the process easier. Other challenges are if you're not being an advocate throughout the school year, then it's hard when you come in and the teachers aren't sure kind of what part you played in the process. Did you write a goal for your child? Do you have goals for them? What are the future plannings? And if you haven't done that kind of homework going throughout the year, the teacher doesn't really have a rapport with you. I don't know if the respect level is the same there. I think it should be, but it may not necessarily be. So definitely do your homework prior to the IEP meeting. Oh boy, I'm thankful for so much. One, I'm thankful for great kids. Through all the challenges, they're awesome kids. Wouldn't trade them for anything. Second, thankful for a great school district. Even through levies failing, my kids' services have not changed. And once again, back to the IEP, I'm thankful that there's well-written IEPs out there for my kids. I've had people tell me, oh, we don't have to put that in. That's kind of a given. No. For me, whether I'm here next year or that teacher's there next year, that IEP will be in place next year. So anything that they need has to be in that IEP, down to the pencil they write with, the type of chair they sit in. It's all in my IEP. And so I'm very thankful for well-written IEPs over the years. I haven't always been good at it, but I've had almost 18 years of experience now. So with that, I'm pretty good at writing IEPs at this point. But so I'm thankful for that, and I'm just thankful for even my 2 kids who aren't deafblind, just the support that they give to their brothers and sisters. It's amazing. The kind of support we've gotten so far was when we started into our school district, we actually contacted OCDBE to come out and do an evaluation. You guys sent out someone to our school to do an evaluation of the school because I didn't know what to look for like a blind kid. You know, I didn't know like safety issues that go along with being blind. I've never been around anyone who was blind. No one in my family is. So I just didn't know. So, you know, they came in and they kind of taught the administration at our school. They talked about different things that we could use in the classroom, different tactile things, you know, for learning experiences. And it just opened up like my whole world to a whole new way of learning, you know, for my children that I never knew existed before that. Take it one day at a time. And don't kind of worry about all the small details. Things will eventually fall into place. I think with that being said, families who have a new diagnosis of deafblind or have just found out their kids are deafblind, just love on them, enjoy them. You don't have to feel like you're always making the right decision. It just has to be the best decision with the information you have today. Technology is always changing, medicine is always changing, and the way that you feel about things will always change as well. What may have worked for you when they were 4 may not work when they're 6 or 7, as their needs change, as school changes, family life changes. So just take it one day at a time and enjoy the small moments. You know, life has been a journey, you know, having, you know, the 3 kids, you know, I feel like it's one of those situations that you don't wish on anybody, but it's definitely made me a better person throughout the process.